when we practice at first, then we are often challenged by a whole lot of noise in the mind, a whole lot of thought movement or emotions, and very often also this is encouraged and created and maintained by our kind of lifestyle. Very often we do a lot of things that increase the busyness of the mind and also the busyness of the body. And so we hardly ever come to a point where we truly can rest. That also leads to lots of exhaustion, lots of tiredness in many people. And I think we all do know this tiredness, this exhaustion very well. So when we start to practice, it is important then to energize ourselves, to give ourselves a space in which wholesome qualities can be empowered and become stronger and grow. And so this space in which wholesome qualities can grow and expand, in which wisdom can actually blossom and unfold, is silence. It's pretty simple, actually. So we are aiming to seek out for this simplicity of silence. Doesn't matter where we are, what we do, whether we are sitting in a car or on a park bench, or if we're preparing food, taking a shower. There is always this space that we can find in each and every moment, right now, right here, that is simply silently receiving the way it is. This is something very simple. It has nothing much to do with focus or concentration. You don't have to kind of strain to get into that state where you can receive reality. It is not a willful effort. In fact, it is something that can become aware that there is willful effort going on. So we want to aim for this type of awareness that becomes aware of what is going on in the mind, how are we receiving the world, what is our response to ourselves, to other people, how long does an emotion last, how is fear arising, how is fear passing. This is a very different type of engaging ourselves or looking at ourselves than this kind of willful effort of focusing on a specific facet of reality. Like I should always be focused on my breath, or I need to keep myself anchored in the sensations of my body or something. It's more panoramic, more broad. It is able to receive life as it unfolds, every aspect of it. We are not static beings. We are not frozen in one state. There are many states arising and passing continuously. And if we become aware of that, we see this dance of phenomena, this arising and passing continuously, then we notice also where most of our suffering comes from, where our stress comes from. And this is a very, very valuable and powerful insight. That we actually take the time to sit down and watch and have a look. at how we create stress inside of our mind. How we give birth to tension and suffering. To observe this process. To truly have a look at this. There's also nothing morbid about it, or, that we have to kind of look at suffering all the time, and then is there nothing positive about life, and so forth. So also it includes the positive, of course. This looking, this understanding oneself. How does it work? How does my mind work? An untrained, ordinary person would be completely lost in their minds, completely identified with the content of their life, somehow perceiving themselves as to be some sort of manager or a person that has to live their life. It feels very forceful, almost like an intruder. I have to come and live my life and kind of push for it. Get it done. This also goes into meditation very often, this notion. If we pay attention, we might notice also what type of personality is right now trying to meditate. That can be seen too. What is the agenda of that personality? What does it want? You sit down and then there is someone that wants something, and that one can be seen. This is such an unusual way of looking at life and reality that it's not really obvious to us. We don't see it. We don't even have often interest in it because we don't really know what to look for. But here it truly means to just witness yourself, to become a witness to your own show as it goes on. You sit down and then there's the meditating personality arising that sits down with a specific aim. And then often it is very tense for many people. Like pushing, trying to control, trying to push for, I need to focus on the breath. There is nothing wrong with it as such. It's just a play of personality. It's a problem once we feel that this is really who I am. I am the one that pushes and tries to kind of focus on the breath. But it's much more gentle, much more subtle, much more background. It is something, a step behind even. We can see clearly, something inside of me is very tense and pushes for the breath. I should focus. It's almost that you can hear this inner voice that wants to focus. And it comes together, it's like a bundle. It comes together as a thought with an emotion. It feels like very concrete. And if we have no distance, then it means we feel like we are that voice. This is me speaking. So in our life, to have a chance there, we need to sit down quietly, regularly, and build energy. And that's why we need to cultivate concentration, or Samadhi, better word. Concentration is for many people two tenths of an idea. Relaxed attention, like that. To stay with one single thing. Not forced, not in a pushy way. To relax into one thing. To allow yourself, to give yourself a break, really. It's giving yourself a break from all the stuff that goes on in our life, to just stay with one thing. What a relief. The mind becomes literally simple, singular. In that there is a lot of power. And with the mind becoming singular also, the knowing gathers back into itself. Awareness comes back home to itself like this. Because if there's a lot of things going on, then also awareness has to stretch out in the form of attention towards those many objects. Now being this, now trying that, now wanting this, like that. So this, all our energy gets lost there. We become highly inefficient also as a human being that lives their life. The more we are distracted and the more our awareness is dispersed towards the outside world. The Buddha calls that outflows, an asawa, an outflow. So the awareness is flowing out into the world. You're leaking, you're losing energy. You're inefficient. Also, this inefficiency, this loss of energy, how do we know that I'm losing energy? How do I know that I'm losing energy? How can I find that out? It's very basic. Because you feel mostly unhappy, tired, and stressed. That's a clear sign that we have no energy. But as soon as the awareness comes back into the heart, as soon as everything comes back and gathers within itself, it becomes singular again, through good practice of Samadhi, energy can build. And we need precisely that energy to empower our wisdom, to empower insight. So insight can really have an impact. Nowadays it is very popular, these teachings that are seemingly very simple, that are just addressing basically insight wisdom, to say you just surrender to the way it is. But this is not possible for an ordinary person, an untrained person. We can do that and we can intellectualize it and we can feel kind of sort of having an insight there. And it is often very stimulating also, these teachings, very uplifting. So that's quite good. However, it has to be also carried by the power of Samadhi. So we have to also work on that, building Samadhi. That's why always in the beginning of our meditation, before we just let go and open up to the way it is and receive the experience of reality, we kind of have to still the mind a little bit. Make it quiet, empower the knower. Because ordinarily, the doer is having all the control in our life. So if we don't pay attention there, it will be the doer that flows into the meditation and will be doing the meditation. So it's this fine balance between relaxing into a singular mind and then allowing this singular mind to empower the panoramic knowing of reality. You can say baby mindfulness becomes adult mindfulness. It is able to carry or to receive the entirety of existence and reality. Another very important reason for having Samadhi in the equation, so that it is not just only inside wisdom training, but there also is Samadhi, is because it gives you joy, it gives you happiness, it gives you pleasure and energy. Right Samadhi gives you a lot of power. Manifesting as bliss, as happiness, as joy. So that when you fully let go, there is not a sense of real threat. You're not just letting go into some empty nothingness. You're letting go into empty nothingness, however it is carried by the sensation of bliss. This is the function of Samadhi. It carries your inside literally. If it is not there, then inside is weak. It can be kind of having some power, and it can also gain momentum by itself if you practice a lot of contemplation and so forth, but it has to be carried by good practice of Samadhi. It is Samadhi that brings you very close, very intimately into the present moment. And from this space of the present moment, from this presence then, a very powerful investigation can be made. And the investigation follows exactly the structure of the Four Noble Truths. You literally have a look at how suffering is arising and how it is ceasing to exist. From observing that, again and again, you understand from your direct experience how you are, and you alone are the only creator of your discomfort. You cannot blame anything in the entire world for your own discomfort. The mind is creating a personality which is seemingly interacting with a world full of projections, which are mind-made. It happens in our heart, it happens in our mind. The whole show, much like a dream. So it does also not mean that we now need to go and blame ourselves. I'm guilty, or I feel I need to blame myself. I need to point the finger to myself and feel bad about myself because I'm creating all the mess. No, again, it's just an invitation to look at the way it is and to keep looking at yourself. And to practice regularly Samadhi, to focus your mind, to bundle your mind, or to rest into a single point, however you want to call it. To empower that looking, to empower that knowing yourself. So it carries enough energy to give you the experience of breaking through, of truly understanding and looking through the game, not being fooled again. To see clearly, now that's how it works. So you're not falling for it again. So this is the role that Samadhi plays in the whole structure of building insight wisdom, of breaking through to realization. Samadhi empowers this realization. Therefore we need it. And it also just makes you feel good. It's a good enough reason for me to practice, It gives me energy for my life, it gives me happiness and joy. Well, this is something worthwhile also sharing with people who are around me, Happiness and joy. I'm not defeated by the world. I have enough happiness so the world doesn't really penetrate. I don't really care. If there are problems like this, if you have enough happiness, if you have enough energy, it doesn't really affect you. So it's a wealth. Being wealthy, being really wealthy means being really happy, having the ability to access that happiness, this joy, this energy at any time. All we need to do is sit down, become present, and relax into one singular thing. The breath, the sensation of the body, a visualized object. There's many traditions. What we do here is using the breath, as the Buddha himself suggested also. It's simple, it's always there. And it's beautiful. Okay, so I think that's enough for today. Yeah? Okay. And thank you very much for coming.